job. And so it's very common. You start with a low mag map. You go to a position on it. You go up in mag and to a medium mag, and it's not centered. So there is a simple technique for shifting all the existing Navigator items by an offset, the same offset, to fix this problem. And this is typically used after taking a low mag map. So the procedure involves adding a point and then going to it and taking an image. And let's just try to demonstrate that a bit here with a situation I've cooked from some files I had. So suppose this was my map, and I loaded it in, and then I clicked at this point, and I wanted to see it, so I said go to. And then I went up and I took a picture, and I got this, whereas I had tried to click on this vesicle here. Well, so this is not aligned. So the way to handle this is go back down to the map and pick a very well-defined point. So I'll zoom it up a little bit, add points, and I'll pick this little dark spot here. Stop adding. Go back to my image here, and then go ahead and click this point here. And so now it knows what the current point is, which is 18, and it knows what we've clicked, and you can say Navigator shift to marker, and it will tell you how far that is. And are you sure you want to shift all the items by this amount? And you say yes, and it will bring, I guess I'll go do it. Didn't do it. If we took a new picture, then we would see 18 show up over here at where we've marked. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about that. So the coordinates of that original map are also shifted. So if you mark further points on that map, they're going to incorporate the shift, and they'll come out in the right place. Now this can also be used working between medium mag and higher mag, but it might only be good in a local area. So it's something to use with more caution in those situations. Cindy has a video on acquiring a series of maps, which could also be just a series of images at a series of marked locations. And this summarizes the procedure here. I'm not gonna go through this because I guess you can just go through the video and look at how that's done with the situation she's got there. The one thing that's important there is there's a dialog called the Acquired Points dialog, and in there is an option to realign the item. And this is something you would do if you have a medium magnification map that you've marked these points on. And this is a complicated procedure that you will see in action in in that video and in one of the later videos we're going to see. And so I wanted to explain what's going on in that procedure. So the reason for this is that if you just have stage positions and you try to move there, it's not very accurate. And the more you move around different positions, the less accurate it becomes for whatever reason. And sometimes there's drift, sometimes there's shrinkage, and so forth. So the only way you can guarantee that you return to where you really want to go accurately is to align to a map image, and that with this function called realign to item. To use a map for realigning, it should be at least 10 by 10 microns. That allows for, say, up to about a 5 micron error in stage positions. And there are two common approaches in setting up maps to use for realignment. One is to have a medium mag montage map that might be even bigger than this area, on which you could mark one or more points that you're interested in. And the other is to have a single frame image that's just centered on the one desired point that we're interested in at the moment, and this is referred to as an anchor map. Now, you could just make sure you have all these maps and have single points marked that you want to be positioning at. But you're going to get a better result if you actually save a separate HiMag map of the exact area you want to acquire. So that's what's represented by these red squares in these two cases where a HiMag map might have this kind of size relative to a montage and this kind of size relative to one of these anchor maps. So there's a couple ways you can add HiMag maps at desired locations when you're working with within a pre-existing montage map. The first method would involve adding points at the desired locations on the map. Then you turn on the acquire function for each point. So that was, if we just go back here, that's the acquire button, and it makes an A appear in there. And make sure we have a file set up for storing these HiMag maps. So if you just have a montage file, you need to open a different file to store those. And then you use the acquired points dialog with the realigned item option checked. I'll bring that up just so it's a little clearer what's going on. Wait, it doesn't come up unless we have something marked to acquire. Acquire at points. And so there's all these actions that can be taken before we actually acquire anything. And then the one important one here is this realigned item that we would need to have checked. In this case, we'd be acquiring a map image. Another option is to just acquire an image and save it. So doing the map this way is going to give the most robust ability to realign. By robust, I mean that there's not a big hazard that it's going to fail to correlate in either the first step correlating to this map or in correlating to the higher mag map. But it may not be exactly where you want if the mags aren't well aligned and if the image shift offsets aren't calibrated well enough to take care of that. So how can we get a map that's better aligned? Well, we can just go ahead and mark a point that we're interested in, use go to marker, and then take an image at our higher mag and shift it around until we get exactly what we want, take a final image and make it a map. Now in this case, the realignment itself is not going to be as robust because if things aren't well aligned, when it goes up to the higher mag, it may, and takes a picture to align to, it's not going to overlap 100%. If it overlaps less than 50%, there's a good chance it's not going to find the area. And also, currently, if you have backlash effects from the stage, it can make this method less robust. And I'm working on that currently to improve that. Now, the other alternative to the marking on a montage is taking this anchor map, single image. And what this involves is sort of one setup phase, and then once it's set up, being able to do it over and over again very easily. So you start by finding your desired area at your working magnification and taking an image and saving it as your high mag map. Then you just drop down a magnification to the right mag for making the anchor map. And again, you want to have at least 10 micron field. And you take an image, save it, that's your medium mag map, and it's going to be used just for realigning to this point. Now the first time you do this, you then would check for anchor map in the dialog. So let's see, if this was a map, then this becomes enabled, and if I check this, this doesn't mean this is the anchor map and I need to check this for all the anchors. No, this means this is the map whose imaging properties I should use for taking other anchor maps. So maybe it should say for anchor imaging. So after this, you go to another place, you position your area at high mag, you take your picture, save the high mag map, and then you just push anchor map, and it takes care of going down in mag, taking the picture, saving it as a map, and coming back up. And this should be robust even if the mags aren't well aligned, because that misalignment gets incorporated right into the positions of these two images. But backlash is not currently handled, and as I said, I'm working on that. Now, there's also the question of whether method 3 should exist, which is, and it should, namely, if you're sitting on top of a montage and you want to do an anchor map, unfortunately, it's not going to pay any attention to it. It's going to go and realign to the montage. So I'm going to fix that one too. But let me explain what goes on in the realign to item operation so that when you see it, you will realize why it's so hard to see what's going on. So you have an item, either a point or a map, and it's located in a large enough map, and you say realign to item. And it will always do a first round of alignment to the largest non-low mag map that's available under the item itself, and it does that in 2 steps. The first step involves moving the stage to the middle of one frame of a montage or the middle of one of these single frame maps. And the reason for that is that's the most reliable way to make sure you get back to that frame. We don't want to go right away to the corner here and then try to see if we are really in this frame. So that gives us the best chance of getting to the frame in question. And then we acquire an image and we align it. Now what you'll see is that for a montage, it tries aligning to all the neighbors of the chosen frame, and this is what makes it jump around before it settles in on a position. If you're not in low dose, it will also try to adjust for shrinkage, so you'll see it dance around a little bit as it tries different shrinkages. Now the next step, once we've got the stage sort of set for how to get to the middle of this frame, is to move the stage to the target position where the map is and acquire, still at the median mag, another image, and then align it again to the map frame that it found itself in. And this time, since it knows where that target is, it can align just based on the image data and the overlap, and this gives it a good chance of getting a good alignment. So that's step 2. Now, if you are actually going to someplace close to the center or right at the center, it doesn't bother with another stage movement. It just uses image shift, and that doesn't perturb any of its alignments, so then it knows it's there. Now, if the item you're trying to align to is a high mag map, then it does a second round where it goes up in mag and acquires an image and aligns to the item itself.